Adjunct Professor Moran, Microeconomics. We've begun our discussion of monopoly, which is one of several types of imperfect competition. This is to distinguish it from perfect competition. Imperfect competition includes monopoly, the worst, and then oligopoly and monopolistic competition. We mentioned that in the last session that monopoly actually sees the demand curve of the industry. It's not going to have a perfectly elastic demand curve the way a pure competitor does, because a pure competitor is an infinitesimally small part of the overall market. Marginal revenue pulls average revenue towards it. Marginal revenue and price are not the same thing, but price and average revenue are the same thing for most applications. So for pure competition they were, and what we're going to distinguish here is not for an imperfect competitor. With some control over price and output, imperfect competitive firms realize that the additional revenue gained from selling an extra unit changes at a different rate than the price of a good. Alright, so if an imperfect competitor wants to sell more, the law of demand indicates that they have to lower their price. So if a business lowers its price from $5 to $4, it'll gain the $5 in price from selling the additional unit, but its marginal revenue will not be equal to the price, the $5. And that's because the firm has to take a hit on the prior unit sold. So there will be this difference, this distinction between price and marginal revenue that you do not have with an imperfect competitor who can sell as much as they want at the market price. Average revenue, defined as total revenue divided by output, falls as the price-searching firm increases output. The firm has to lower its price, also known as average revenue, in order to sell additional units of output, because demand is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. Marginal revenue, defined as change in total revenue divided by change in total output, falls even faster than average revenue as output increases. Assuming the monopolist charges every buyer the same price, we'll talk about something called a price discriminating monopolist later in the unit. But right now, a price discriminating monopolist is someone who can charge higher value users a higher amount and lower value users a lower amount. We're going to assume that this monopolist has to charge everybody the same amount. Marginal revenue falls approximately twice as fast as price when the business offers additional units to the product market. Before we actually look at the table, we're talking about monopolist, imperfect competitor, and unlike a pure competitor where price equals marginal revenue, for a monopolist, price will not equal marginal revenue. For a pure competitor, there is a negative demand curve in the market, but for the firm is assumed to be an infinitesimally small part of the overall market. So the pure competitor can sell an unlimited amount at the market price, and they're going to sell it at that same price. Price equals marginal revenue. But the imperfect competitor, for the monopolist, the firm is the industry or the market. The firm sees the downward sloping demand curve. In order to sell more, the firm has to lower its price. But it doesn't lower its price on the next one. If it could lower the price only on the next one and none of the other prior sold ones, then price would in fact again be equal to marginal revenue. But to get the extra quantity to sell, the firm has to lower its price. That means it's going to capture this price in full as marginal revenue, but take a hit because it has to discount the price in all the prior ones. So you have to subtract out how much less they have to sell the prior ones from the additional amount the firm charges for the current one to arrive at marginal revenue. What that means is, unlike pure competition where the price equals marginal revenue, the firm's price will be read from the demand line, but the marginal revenue will be read from a separate line. At any quantity, marginal revenue is going to be less than demand, marginal revenue, less than demand or price, because to sell an additional unit, the firm had to take a hit on this one to here. So you add the additional revenue from the new one, but have to subtract out the change from the first one to the second one. And that's going to cause the split. We're going to go over that in numeric fashion in the table coming up. Look at the market demand schedule in 32.1. Buyer interest at a price of $13.50 when no units demanded. $13.50, quantity demanded 0. Buyer interest begins at a price of $13.50. Revenue with a price drop of $1.50, the price drops to $12 and 100 units are demanded. 12, 100. Total revenue is $1,200, 12 times 100, at the $12 price per unit, and marginal revenue matches the price on the first sales block of 100 units. So price will not equal marginal revenue for a monopolist except for the first block. When price falls to $10.50 a unit, no person pays a price below $10.50, yet marginal revenue is 9. Why? So here we have $13.50 and 0. Price falls to 12. A negative relation between price and quantity. Quantity demanded rises to 100. Price times quantity gives total revenue of 1,200. 1,200 minus 0 is 1,200. And our marginal revenue is 1,200 minus 0. So for the first two, for the first block, price and marginal revenue will be equal, but only for the first one. For all others, there'll be a split. In order to induce more than one, the firm reduces this price from 12 to $10.50. At $10.50, 200 will be demanded. 10.50 times 200 is a total revenue of 2,100. Marginal revenue, 2,100 minus 1,200, equals 900. 900 divided by a change of 100 in quantity demanded, change in total revenue divided by change in quantity, results in $9. So although price is $10.50, marginal revenue will be 9. We now have a split. This split here. Price of $10.50, but marginal revenue of only $9. To sell more, the firm has. So what's happening here is the firm's taking a hit on the prior ones. To sell more at $9, they lower the price to $9, 300 will be sold. 9 times 300 is 2,700 in total revenue. 2,700 minus the prior total revenue is 2,100, which gives us a marginal revenue of 600. 600 by a change of 100 in quantity demanded. This is how you arrive at change in marginal revenue. Marginal revenue is 6. Price of 9, marginal revenue 6. They're no longer equal. To sell more, the firm drops its price to $7.50. Quantity demand is now 400. The change is 100. 750 times 400 is 3,000. 3,000 minus 2,700 gives you a change of 300 divided by the change in quantity of 100, and you get $3. Marginal revenue is falling faster than price is falling. Marginal revenue, given quantity, is falling faster than price is falling, because the firm is gaining the additional price it charges, but is taking a hit on the prior units. So you add the extra revenue from one unit and the discount you have to give on the prior units, and that means your price is greater than marginal revenue. Okay, let's take a look at why that's true. What's happening here in some more detail. Sell a quantity of 1, they have to discount the price from 172 to 162. To sell 2, they reduce the price to 152 in this example. 3, price falls to 142. 4, 132. 5, 122. Demand is a negative relationship between price and quantity demanded. Now let's calculate total revenue. Price times quantity. 162, 252, 304. 3 times 142 is 426. 4 times 132, 528. 5 times 122 is 610. What's our marginal revenue? Our marginal revenue is the change in total revenue. Delta the symbol of change, divided by the change in quantity. Well, here, change in quantity is 1. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. So 162 minus 0 is 162. 304 minus 162 is 142. 426 minus 304 is 122. 528 minus 426, 102. 610 minus 528 is 82. So notice for each quantity, price is greater than marginal, except for the first one. For each one, price is greater than marginal revenue. For each quantity, price is greater than marginal revenue. Price, quantity, marginal revenue. Price, marginal revenue. Okay, why? Why is marginal revenue less than price? Okay, at 162, they had lowered their price by 10. Okay, 162. 1 and 1. 162. Price is equal to marginal revenue. But to sell the second one, they had to lower the price to 152. The company gets an extra 152 of revenue, but had to discount the first one by 10. An extra 152 minus 10 on the first one, no longer being sold at 162, gives you 142 marginal revenue. The third one, they have to discount the price to 142. They have to discount the first one another 10, and the second one 10. 152 to 142. Marginal revenue is 142 extra for the third one, minus the 10 discounts they're taking. Marginal revenue 122. To sell the fourth one, they're going to lower their price to 132. They have an extra $132 worth of marginal revenue. But now they have to take a discount, another 10 on this one, another 10 on this one, and 10 on the prior one. So although they have an additional sale of 132, on these three they took an additional cut of 10, which gives a marginal revenue of 122. So you can see that price for each one, except for the first one, is less than, marginal revenue is less than price for each one. This monopoly firm, knowing that the market demand schedule is also the firm's demand schedule, they're identical since there's only one seller, recognized that selling more units of a product requires the price to fall for all buyers, the prior ones as well. It gives up the original price of $12 per unit and adopts $10.50. The sales of 200 at this price of 1050 units, yet the firm had to lower its price $1.50 on the first block of 100 to generate the second block of 100. Thinking on the margin, the monopolist recognized that to lower prices for the first block sales causes the surrender of 150 in revenue on the first 100 demanded to gain the next block of 100. So the 1,050 gain in revenue from the last block requires a 150 deduction from the first block. Causing a split between price and marginal revenue. So let's see where we're at. Okay, so fill in the blanks. We did this already. We demonstrated that. Notice that the price points show $1.50 changes. By how much does marginal revenue change at each price point? Marginal revenue is going down by 3 at each price point. Although price is only declining by $1.50. So marginal revenue is falling at twice the rate that price is. Okay, so let's go ahead and graph this. And if you just graph price and quantity and then marginal revenue and quantity, this will be the graph that results. So at each price point, you can read price from price equals average revenue equals demand, and here's marginal revenue. So at 100, price and marginal revenue are the same. But at 200, price will be 1050, but marginal revenue will only be 9. At 300 units, price will be 9, but marginal revenue will only be 6. So for an imperfect competitor, at each quantity, price will be greater than marginal revenue, because to sell more, he's got to lower his price, but to sell more, he's got to lower his price on all prior units. Price does not equal marginal revenue for an imperfect competitor.